What's up, guys, and welcome back to DTL Wrestling. I just finished watching TLC 2017. By the time I get this all edited and put online, the pay-per-view would probably have been last night. But yeah, I didn't get to watch it live. I had to watch it a little later on. I had some family things to attend to. But yeah, we're going to go ahead and run down a quick recap of what happened over the night and the results of all the matches. Now, I'm not going to touch on the pre-show match of Alexa Fox. Even saying her name just doesn't go right, does it? Alicia Fox versus Sasha Banks. Now, so we're going to start with the first match of the actual pay-per-view, which was Asuka versus Emma. Now, this was not as big of a squash match as I thought it was going to be. Honestly, I thought that was why they had Emma win the little, number one contender who gets to fight Asuka match, whatever you want to call it, and not Sasha Banks, because they were kind of protecting Sasha Banks for later on. They're going to have Emma get squashed to show that Asuka is a big threat, but it didn't happen like that. Actually, both women put on a decent match. Asuka actually made Emma look pretty strong, but as we all knew, Asuka ended up pulling up the win on this one. It was a serviceable match. It was a good opener. Asuka looked really strong, and yeah, I mean, there's not much else you can say about this match. It was two women putting on a good match, and Emma did great in it. So next was the Cruiserweight Tag Team match between the Brian Kendrick and Jack Gallagher against Cedric Alexander and Rich Swann. I don't know why I stumbled on his name there for a minute. I've been doing that all night, stumbling on Rich Swann's name. I don't know why I couldn't remember that. It was a good match. It was plenty of high spots. It was cruiserweight. Quick tags in and out. It was very back and forth. There were a couple of moments where I was a little on the match with Jack Gallagher doing some rest holds, and for cruiserweights I expect high intensity, Rey Mysterio style stuff. There was a really funny spot though where Cedric Alexander went for a suicide dive over the top rope, and the entire spot totally got botched. Nothing to do with Cedric. It was actually Jack Gallagher and the Brian Kendrick. They weren't standing in the right spot. They were too spread out, and as he flipped over, he just kind of landed in between the two of them and landed on his feet. And God bless the other guys for trying to pull it off like nothing happened. They fell down, and Cedric's all like but the replays didn't help. Anybody who knows wrestling knew that was a botch, and it was funny. It was a serviceable match. It was it was entertaining, especially with that botch in there. Luckily nobody in the crowd called him out on it. It was just kind of funny. Cedric and Rich Swann did end up pulling out the win on that one. So next there was the Raw Women's title match between Mickie James and Alexa Bliss. This was actually a really great match, great storytelling from both women involved, great back and forth, good spots. There was one botch I caught, but it was nothing. I just kind of brushed it off. I went with the flow, went with the entertainment of what was going on, and I was definitely entertained in this match. There was a great spot that to me seemed like a callback to Mickie James's match with Trish Stratus, where she grabbed her crotch and did the V. Alexa Bliss was kind of doing the tucking in the ropes thing to make the ref kind of make Mickie James back off, and her ass was sticking out. And Mickie James just whack, gave it a good old smack, and Alexa Bliss sold being pissed off so well. It's the look that I imagine that she would give somebody if they just walked up in public and whack, somebody she didn't know, like just turned around, just death stare. It was great. It was funny, but it definitely added to the storytelling of the match. It was very nicely placed. Alexa Bliss did end up winning and retaining her women's title. I kind of had a feeling they're going to build up Alexa Bliss and have Asuka go after the title, which would be a good feud. I'd like to see that. It was kind of funny, though, if you recall back a few weeks ago when Mickie James told Alexa she had a biscuit butt. When Alexa got on a little bit of a hot streak, the crowd started cheering, "I love biscuits." Somebody needs to put that on a t-shirt. Alright, so following the Raw Women's title match, we had the Cruiserweight title match between Enzo Amore and Kalisto. The match started very, very slow with Enzo just doing a lot of running away. This match just really didn't do it for me. It wasn't really my cup of tea. It was, especially for a Cruiserweight title match, it was very slow paced of a match. There were one or two spots that were okay. There was a spot where Enzo went up to the top rope acting like he was going to do some crazy Cruiserweight stuff, and was like, "No, you guys are kidding me." Enzo did end up winning his title back, so whether or not that's a good thing, we'll see how the story plays out on 205, but that's all I really got to say on this match. It just didn't do it for me. So next was supposed to be the Finn Balor versus Bray Wyatt match, but for those of you who don't know, Bray Wyatt is held home with, he's sick, basically. He has some sort of viral infection. So they substituted AJ Styles. What? Are you kidding me? Freaking AJ Styles versus Finn Balor. Oh my god. This was great. I love the fact that they basically made no other story out of it other than, Bray Wyatt couldn't compete, so Kurt Angle got on the phone and called Shane McMahon, was like, hey, can I borrow, AJ Styles for the night? And Shane was like, yeah, sure. And the only little bit of thing they played up on it was, AJ was in the South America tour and he flew overnight to get here and he just got off a plane, which, kind of added to the match a little bit. AJ might be tired, but from the moment these two men walked out to the ring, "This is awesome" chant, one of the loudest "This is awesome" chants I've heard in a long time, before the bell even rang. And one of Booker T's best lines was basically saying, this match needs no build-up. It's AJ Styles versus Finn Balor for the first time. They did reference them being in New Japan Pro Wrestling, and they did reference them both being in the Bullet Club, but not actually using the Bullet Club name. As you would expect from Finn Balor and AJ Styles, this match was non-stop, bell to bell. It was fantastic. Me sitting here talking about it is going to do it no justice. Even if I go through spot by spot by spot by spot what happened, I can't do it justice. It's not possible to verbally do this match justice. It was fantastic, and yes, I might be fanboying out a little bit here over Finn Balor versus AJ Styles, but come on, who isn't excited about this? The crowd was ecstatic the whole time. I haven't heard a crowd go that crazy throughout a match the entire start to stop. If you haven't watched this match and you have absolutely no way of seeing it, I will tell you right now, it is worth the $9.99 it costs for WWE Network for 1 month. Heck, get your 1 month free trial, then cancel just to see this match. It's that good. And I can't tell you how awesome it is to hear a crowd not booing anybody. Face versus face matches work. They do. They're fantastic. Hearing the crowd go, AJ Styles, Finn Balor, AJ Styles, Finn Balor, was fantastic. Just the crowd was so behind it, and that elevates a match. It really does. When the crowd that's there is so into it, it just elevates the match just that, one notch higher, if even. And it is freaking tastic. I cannot do it justice sitting here talking about it. I was on the edge of my seat the entire time. And to cap it off, I don't know if all of you know the business with WWE telling the Young Bucks they have to stop doing the too sweet thing, which started with the NWO and became a Bullet Club thing. And so now they won sweet, but at the end of the match, everybody called for it. Too sweet, and Finn walks over to AJ. Boom, middle of the ring. It was glorious. Rude's music should have hit at that moment. Glorious! Just for that part, then it could have gone back to Finn's music. But obviously they gave the win to Finn Balor because this TLC is a Raw pay-per-view and Finn Balor is on Raw. AJ Styles doesn't need the win over Finn Balor to look strong because he's not on that brand. It's not going to matter. So, yeah, obviously they gave the win to Finn Balor, but it was not a easy win, and it was not a close, it wasn't a blowout. It was a very close match, bunch of false finishes. It was just great. Go watch it. Go watch it right now. If you have the WWE Network, pause this video, go watch. I'm serious. So next we had a surprise match, a match that was not on the card. I don't know if you guys are fans of Elias. The stick it's not my cup of tea. It's not something I like. But he kept coming out throughout the night and strumming his guitar, and Jason Jordan would come out and throw vegetables at him or do other stuff. And so they ended up having a match. The only reason I can think of for this surprise match on the card was to separate AJ Styles, Finn Balor, and, you know, the Shield versus Team Miz. That's the only reason I can think of to have this match in there. It didn't feel like anything special. It just felt like your typical Raw match. For me, it was the throwaway match of the night. You know, I kept seeing people in the crowd get up and go to the bathroom. I kind of felt bad for him, but, you know, it was a serviceable match. It was, you know, served its purpose of breaking up these two real high spots on the pay-per-view. You know, if I were to watch this pay-per-view again, I'd probably skip that match, honestly, because it just, you could tell it was just really shoved in there. But, yeah, and you're going to tell this feud's going to continue because the feud wasn't supposed to end here, so they can't have it end here. Jason Jordan rolled up, you know, Eliza, and he gets the shoulder up at the 2 count, but due to the way the roll-up worked and the ref was on the other side, he didn't see the opposite shoulder come up, and they even did the replay that, no, he got the shoulder up at 2, but the ref counted to 3. So shenanigans, it's going to continue. It wasn't meant to end here. It did its purpose. It served its purpose. That's all I can say about this match. Alright, so on to the main event. The Shield, featuring Kurt Angle versus what I'm calling Team Miz. This match was really good. It started off fantastic. You know, the Miz and all them, they all made their separate entrances and standing around in the ring, and the full Shield's music hit. You know, it had the beginning part of it. It was not Roman Reigns' music. It was the Shield's music. Fans knew Roman Reigns wasn't going to be there, so the crowd exploded. Here, out come Dean and Seth, you know, out through the crowd, and they stop for a second, and boom, Kurt Angle comes out right behind them in a Shield uniform of his own. It was just kind of cool to see Kurt back and, you know, in a Shield uniform. He was wrestling with the Shield. It was supposed to be the Shield versus Team Miz. Here's Kurt Angle stepping up, fully throwing on a Shield uniform, you know, vest and everything, not just black, you know, outfit, full vest. They come down through the crowd. It was fantastic. Kurt looked great, you know. It was a, you know, tables, ladders, and chairs match. A lot of chairs right off the bat. You know, the 3 of them circle the ring, Shield style. Dean Ambrose, Seth Rollins, and Kurt Angle all grab chairs, and they hop in there, and right out of the get-go, they lay a beat down to Team Miz. And I thought it was really funny. I always think it's really funny when a yes chant starts and Daniel Bryan is nowhere around, but the Shield's beating them down, crowd, even the full-on fingers, yes, yes, yes. And, you know, it's just funny to me because Daniel Bryan's nowhere around. You know, this is a Raw pay-per-view. It's not even a SmackDown pay-per-view. But anyways, my one complaint about this match is there was only one ladder spot. Very early on, when the Shield had their momentum going, they got Braun Strowman and Kane onto the 2 announce tables that were right there and simultaneously climbed up ladders and dropped elbows onto them. It was a little scary, though, because the way Seth hit the announcer table, the front part of it didn't quite collapse, and it hit his bad knee, and you immediately see him grab his bad knee and start screaming out. It could have been a work, but I guarantee you that knee was in pain for the rest of the match because he wasn't going as crazy as he had been at the start of it. But I hope he's okay. I hope he doesn't need to take any time off to heal up from that. I hope it was just bang, it hit, and because it's a sore spot, it just kind of hurt, or that it was a work. But yeah, then later on, Kurt Angle ended up taking a running power slam from Braun Strowman through a table, and due to his neck and back injuries, they really played it up with the refs coming out there and making sure he was okay. And then they ended up taking him to the back, and this made it a 5-on-2 match. And there's a little tiff that started right after this in Team Miz. Kane went to go hit Seth Rollins with the chair, but he ducked out of the way, and he ends up hitting Braun Strowman on the back. Braun Strowman turns around, pushes Kane down real hard, and then Team Miz has to hop in, and like, no, guys, let's beat them up. And so, that happens. Then Miz tells, Miz is directing traffic at this point. Miz isn't really doing much throughout this match other than being a traffic manager. He gets them to take the guys up to the top of the entryway, calls in a tow truck, because earlier in the night he was saying he was going to take out the trash and drive it to the dump. They go to throw them in there, and the Shield get on top of the garbage truck instead and jump off and take out all of Team Miz, and then they go after the Miz to take him out. So he's the one member who wasn't down there, and when they're fighting him, Braun Strowman comes over, and then Kane comes over, and you're like, oh man, this is going to be it. Well, apparently Kane was still pretty pissed off about Braun Strowman shoving him on purpose, so he chokeslammed him through the stage and buried him underneath a pile of chairs. This whole little commotion goes on for a little while at the top. There were some spots. I noticed that both Dean and The Miz were hard bleeding. Dean from his elbow and The Miz on his back. But then Braun Strowman ends up coming out from this pile of chairs, super pissed off, attacks Cesaro and Sheamus on his way to get to Kane. And, this basically causes all of Team Miz to go after Braun Strowman. They actually end up throwing Braun Strowman in the garbage truck and telling the garbage truck to leave with Braun Strowman in it. So it's 4-on-2. They still have the numbers advantage. They take the Shield guys back to the ring, try to pin them. Kurt Angle's music hits. Kurt Angle comes back out. Great pop from the crowd, this time to his own music. He comes down, lays out. Cesaro and Sheamus actually Cesaro and Sheamus actually ends up giving Cesaro an Angle slam through a table. And then comes down, clears house. The brothers, the Shield ends up putting Kane through the announcer wall little thing. Miz gives a skull-crushing finale on Kurt. Kurt kicks out. Shield gets in there. They end up doing their finishers. All of them do their finishers on the Miz. And then Kurt calls for the Shield bomb. So they use Kurt as Roman Reigns, and it's funny because Kurt even did the whole rah Roman Reigns thing, and the crowd didn't really react to that very well, but I thought it was funny. And then they boom throw him down. Kurt Angle actually rolls up the Miz and gets the 1-2-3. Shield wins. I knew the Shield was going to win. They had to look strong. Kurt Angle coming back just cemented that, because you can't have Kurt Angle look weak. When he comes back. I thought it was a great match. I do feel sorry. I know that Dean and Seth are both hurting real bad after this match. They took a lot of bumps. Dean actually took two failed attempts through a table. Both times one of the little legs snapped and he bounced off the table, and you just watch his neck snap. It was pretty brutal to watch, but I'm sure he's okay. I hope he's okay. If I had to rate this pay-per-view, I'm not very good at giving them letter scores. I'd say probably a B. I'd give it a B. It was above average. It was very entertaining. I feel like if the Eliza Jason Jordan match hadn't been there, the end match wouldn't have been as exciting, because it would have just come off the Finn Balor AJ Styles match. But that match I could have done without, and I could have done without the Cruiserweight title match. Having two 205 live matches on a Raw pay-per-view, if they're not going real high-flying crazy, I mean, the tag match was fine. Don't get me wrong. I would have loved to keep the tag match, get rid of the Enzo Amore Kalisto match, have that take place on 205 Live or an episode of Raw or something, because it was really nothing special. But I'd give it a good solid B. Definitely worth watching. And like I said, the match of the night was definitely AJ Styles versus Finn Balor. Yeah, great pay-per-view. If you can, watch the AJ Styles Finn Balor match for sure. Alright, if you guys like this video, please hit that like button, subscribe to DTL Wrestling if you haven't already, and I will see you guys next time right here on DTL Wrestling.